And I will look at you, not the camera.
Yes, that's right, yes. Okay, I am recording, so whenever you're ready.
Hello Marga, we welcome you to the City Video Newsroom project, City Video UK. You are working as a senior project director at Center for Science Diplomacy, Office of International and Security Affairs, AAAS. And AAAS is doing a lot of activities in the science diplomacy. Can you just briefly tell us that what are those initiatives and how we can go into them?
Absolutely. Hello, my name is Magra Gual. I'm Senior Project Director at the Center for Science Diplomacy at the American Association for the Advancement of Science in Washington, D.C. AAAS is the largest general scientific society in the world. It's an international organization that has a dedicated center to bring together scientists and diplomats around the world, and that is the Center for Science Diplomacy. Our work is structured around three pillars. First, we put a great emphasis in building a community of science diplomats. That means bringing the scientific and the foreign policy communities together to understand each other and interact and help each other understand how they can work together. Because nowadays, all of our foreign policy challenges have scientific or technological dimensions, but those two communities are not always in sync. Then we also promote science diplomacy education, so training the next generation of science diplomats around the world. And we work with mostly universities and youth networks that are interested in bridging the gap between science and diplomacy. We organize a number of training programs in Washington, D.C. and worldwide. Some of them in partnership with other organizations. For example, the World Academy of Sciences in Trieste, in Italy. They have been our main partner for capacity building in science diplomacy in the Global South. We have a program for 5 years now, an annual summer course in science diplomacy for emerging young science diplomats. But also we are very excited to partner with new organizations, and especially places like CTBTO, we think are incredible because they already have an existing network of about 400 young scientists, as I learned today, that are ready to take the next step in the science diplomacy world. And I think it would be very beneficial for us to work together and integrate networks for spreading the word about science diplomacy. As you will agree with me, I think we talked before, it is not yet a concept that is universally known or embraced, but I think joining forces with CTBTO and others, we can make a much faster impact.
So in previous years, we saw that you organized, as you also mentioned, that some activities with the Third World Academy of Sciences. So how many activities you organize annually and how the people can approach them?
Mm-hmm. So we organized an annual summer course in Trieste, Italy with AAAS, the World Academy of Sciences. And that is a course open to anyone in the Global South. That course has been going on for 5 years, and it's an open application that opens around February every year, and the course happens in July and August. The date varies, but that's basically the format. This year we've started a new spin-off of those global workshops into regional workshops. So we have a 5-year program for developing more targeted and regional focused workshops, because sometimes talking about global issues too global, it gets too broad, and it's hard to get deep into the actual issues and challenges. So we've done our first regional workshop in South Africa for Sub-Saharan Africa region, hosted by the South African Academy of Sciences, or ASAF, and the AAAS Regional Office for Sub-Saharan Africa, which is also hosted by ASAF. And then we're going to be rotating, so every year there will be a different workshop hosted by one of the 5 AAAS regional offices, which is Alexandria for North Africa and Middle East, Bangalore for South Asia, China, and Rio de Janeiro in South America, Latin America. So that's the plan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. The AAAS, previous activities I saw, they are more focused toward the Africa region. I was going to ask, what about the Asia Pacific and ASEAN region and Asia region? So you mentioned there was Is there any other organization in that region you are going to work with them except the AAAS?
We are working with a number of partners and also very open to always new partnerships. One organization that works, I would say, a little more in that space is the INGSA, International Network for Government Science Advice, and APEC. So they've done some training jointly in the Asia Pacific, also because INGSA it's headquartered in New Zealand. And then we work more, I would say, in Latin America. So my portfolio, for instance, has a specific focus on Latin America. So in that sense, we are, I think, covering pretty much the entire region because we've done quite a bit with Argentina, Chile. We're doing some training in Panama this year as well. And then, of course, Cuba, which is one of our flagship programs. But so yeah, now Africa has become a focus for the next immediate future. And then as we rotate around the world and host these regional workshops, we hope to engage many more partners on the ground. And also the Global Young Academy is another one that it's a fantastic network to help bring together people from different regions for this capacity building.
So like AAA is working for the young scientists. Like now CTPT also started the CYG initiative. How you feel that it's impacting the CTPTO to bring 23 into force?
Well, that's a very challenging question. But I think in general, young scientists and young science diplomats are really the future of our leadership everywhere. I think the mindset is going to change, and I think our next generation leaders will think very differently, will understand the role of science in providing evidence and informing policy, and obviously the need for nuclear disarmament and peace building. So I have a lot of hope in this network, and I think that's what really fuels my interest in working with young people, because sometimes some status quo sometimes the status quo is difficult to change, and the best approach is to bring up a new generation that thinks differently, and hopefully understanding the global frameworks like the Sustainable Development Goals and how the world is in need for convergence and countries working together, despite the current political trends that we're seeing that tend to go in the other direction. But I think the youth networks of science diplomacy are going to be essential to, once they get to the leadership of their countries and organizations, to bring about that change. And then in terms of the CTBTO Young Network, we would love to bring you all into our Science Diplomacy Education Network, which is a global network that basically brings together all the institutions, organizations, universities, any kind of institution or network that is interested in science diplomacy, capacity building, and training. So it's something that I'm very excited to continue discussing with CTBTO and you and CYG today.
Thank you, Magra.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, guys.